Hello.
Hello?
Can we hear anything?
Should be able to.
I
Can somebody say something just to make sure that our audio is working?
Hi.
Hi.
Pernille.
And we can't hear you. Hold on one second. Oh, that's why. Speaker should be. Can somebody say something again?
Hello.
Ah,
Hi.
oh, we got you. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Hey, everyone.
Let me see who's here. Homer and Ravina and Sunia. How great. And Suni, I'm so happy you're here.
Yes.
Ravina and Jan and Mike, amazing. And Shaheen, so good to meet you. I saw you in
Thank you.
Vince's recording. You were at Vince's meeting Sunday.
Yes, I
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also on Saturday. Yeah.
Fun.
And also on Saturday the next weekend. Mhm.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, I've got ADHD, so I'm like, I want it now. Enlightenment now, please. No patience.
Amazing. Amazing.
Hmm.
And
Well-
Julie, so good to see you again. Julie was at the Q&A.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We'll wait a few minutes and let anybody else show up before we start.
Do you want to lead a sit, or do you want me to do that?
I really like your opening.
Okay. Okay. So if you let people, then I close
Absolutely.
my eyes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's focus ourselves before we start. So make yourself comfortable and close your eyes. And make a deep breath and exhale. And inhale deeply and exhale deeply, and feel how your body is falling into gravity every time you exhale. Feel your bum in the seat. And make contact to your feet. And your ankles and your knees. And exhale deeply. For every exhalation, you feel how the body is relaxing and becoming present here with us. And feel your hips, your bum in the seat. And then I would like for you to make a kegel. And on an inhale, feel how it goes up the spine, all the way up to the top of your head. And exhale deeply and let go of the kegel. And put some attention into the front of the body, everything that is in front of you. And everything that is behind you. And everything to the right of you. And everything to the left of you. And everything below you. And above you. And while you're sitting here in that bubble where you have all the 6 directions pointing out from you, see if you can visualize that you're sitting in a bubble and there's all that space around you on every single side of all the 6 dimensions. And you're sitting here in the middle. And notice how the body is relaxing with you just sitting here with your eyes closed. And this space you're in here right now, that is reality. That's where there's calm and contentment. And if you have any contraction in the body or any pain in the body or any worrying thoughts that are coming in, then just allow it to be there. See it as a contraction. That's okay to be there. It doesn't change anything. It's just there. And just breathe into it. And feel how you're present and aware right now. Focus on your shoulders and your neck, your face and your eye sockets. Relax in your eyes. And this present and awareness that you have right now, stay here for the rest of the week. For as long as you can, every time you remember it. So make a deep inhale. Exhale and open your eyes. Shake your body if you need to. I'm so grateful that all of you guys are here. Thank you very much. It's really, really nice to see all of you. And I'm so looking forward. I've been so looking forward
Absolutely.
to today, to this inquiry. The difference between the Q&A and the inquiry is that in the Q&A, it's in many ways very cerebral. It's very much about when that is said, then this is happening, and then, you know, untangling all the knots that are there. Where the inquiry, it's very much about coming back to this and coming back to this. Kristen is here, and coming back to this all the time. And what you're going to hear us say the most today will be something to the akin of breathe, feel your body. Where are you right now? And that is the clue to inquiry.
Yeah.
Getting into the body.
Yeah. So for anybody who's new, who hasn't been here before, it really, anybody can, you can either raise your hand or you can just speak up and ask questions. We'll, you know, go into anything that you have going on issue-wise regarding any of the fetters, no matter where you are, you know, where you think you are or seem to be on the path. We'll try to field those. And again, just kind of walk you through maybe an inquiry into whatever's going on, or try to clarify anything that needs clarification. And this will, again, be recorded. It will be up on my YouTube channel. If anybody wants to bring up something that is, you know, you don't want recorded, that you feel is too sensitive or something, just let us know and I'll pause the recording while you talk, and then we'll resume recording afterwards. So everybody can feel safe to go into whatever they want to go into. And
Yeah, and also if we're going into something and we're starting to do the inquiry and you feel that, oh, I don't want to go here, then just say so.
Yeah.
Just because we're asking a question doesn't mean that you have to answer.
yeah.
So then,
All right. Julie, you have your hand up first. You can, yeah, great. How's it going?
I'm so happy to be here.
Thanks for being here.
So I went to the Q&A a few days ago, and I haven't seen the replay.
oh, sorry.
One
I
second.
muted you. I'm trying to get us up. This is me, you know, being super, super technical. This is my core competence. I'm sure you all see that. We just muted Julie without her wish. There we go. So you were saying?
God did it. So I don't know what you heard, but anyway, I went to Q&A, and I was working with this issue of impatience and with the unfettering process. And so the idea came up was something like, I don't have time to waste. And just the fact that whole idea, that belief arose a long time ago when I was like, I don't know, 3, 4. When I identified with this body that came into the world with a genetic illness that was supposed to kill it. And obviously that didn't happen, but that's the belief that I was raised with, the fear. And so I said something, and Pernille said, you know, there are 3 levels of delusion there. And I haven't heard the replay yet, but I've been trying to remember, first of all, what I said, because my memory is horrible. And I think I thought of the first 2, but it doesn't matter. Why I'm here now is I realized after that meeting, I looked down and I had on a sweatshirt in bold black letters that announced to the world the fact that I have this thing. And then I went in my closet and I was looking around. It's like half of my wardrobe is from organizations that raise money to cure this thing. And I'm like, holy shit, I am so identified as this body. I don't even know what to wear. Anyway, that's why I'm here, is because that insight or whatever happened. And I know, like intellectually, I know I'm not this thing that I see and seem to feel and seem to see. I know I'm not that, but like deep down there somewhere, I mean, it feels like it's written in my DNA. I mean, it is, but in a, I don't know, in like thought space, it's written in my thought DNA.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
I just want to say one thing, and then I want yeah. The first thing is that I absolutely love that you completely see through that entire illusion of can I say what you have? I know what you have. You haven't mentioned it, and I don't know if there's a reason to that.
No, I just didn't want to make it. I just didn't want to reify it even more. Like,
I understand that. So that perception of what you've been born with, that has been like shaping everything, even to the point that you weren't aware that you were, you know, having T-shirts and announcing it to the world, even to people that don't know you, you know, knows it before you, you know, even open your mouth.
yeah.
And I'm super provoking in what I'm saying now. I would like for you to look into the benefit of that. What is the benefit of that? What is the benefit of, because I have had I've had a lot of patients that had cancer and was anorexic and had you know, issues like that, and they always reached the point where they had to choose to give up the benefit of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's not something that I see is like a huge alarm bell in anything that you say. I just want you to be aware of it, because it has been with you always, and there are benefits as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you're already aware. I love it.
I get to be a victim. You know, that's clear.
Yeah.
And it's always been like, that was kind of like, Pernille, when you in Fetter 2 released the video about your toxic starting points. My toxic starting point was definitely that I can't remember how you worded it, but the way I got attention and love in a family that was so, I mean, there were 3 of us with Sia, and my mother was mentally ill, as I would have been had I had 3 kids with Sia. Really mentally ill, disabled, so mentally ill. So it was a kind of, I mean, it was loving, but it was there was a lot of depression and a lot of fear in that family. So the way I got attention was when I was sick.
Yeah.
That was, and I got a lot of attention, and it was loving, and it was overprotective, and it was, and that's kind of always been the case. Like I know I've unconsciously used that benefit
Yes.
as a benefit.
Yeah. So it's just you reflecting in your everyday life. If you are giving yourself all the love and the compassion and the awareness and the attention and the reassurance and the affirmations and all of that, are you giving yourself that? So you're not dependent on, having like a flare or having like anything that is, challenging.
I'm starting to.
Yeah.
But that's been kind of a slow moving process. And I think the impatience is the part of me that's left that's not giving me much room.
Yeah. Do you know what that impatience is about?
I think it's about thinking I could die at any second and wanting to like finally be free. It's about freedom and peace. It's wanting to have a sense of peace at last.
Yeah. The first thing I want to say is, yes, you can die any second. All of us can. And
Right.
and you might even be fortunate to be hit by a bus before you die of CF.
I hope so.
But so that, yes, you can die any second. It's not something that is unique to you and your position. We are all in the same boat when it comes to that. It's just that when we have cancer or we have CF or we have anything like that, we are led to believe. We had the talk this week about having clogged arteries and being told you will have a heart attack within the next 5 years. I mean, unless your doctor is God, they don't have that privilege. They can't tell you what the future will hold. And even when they're adding statistics to the game, they can't even say it. There's a 98% risk. Well, you might still be the 2%. So there's no one who can predict anything. And that is actually more scary than when something is predicted.
Yeah.
The whole part that yes, all of us can die in the next second. Yes, all of us, everybody that's here, that can happen to all of us. That was the first thing. What was the other thing I wanted to say? There was another point. What was that?
Well, I don't know, because it was about the short amount of time before finding freedom before dying.
Yes, thank you. You heard it too.
Yeah.
The freedom is here already, right now. It's not something that you are in any rush to. It is already here. And I was wondering, do you want to do an inquiry to that?
Yeah, well, I was actually curious also. What exactly is it that you are expecting to get from the awakening process? Because it sounds like there's a lot of expectation there.
Yeah. Something that that's probably futile. I mean, I think I've been searching my whole life for this sense of peace that would come from knowing something. Like it goes so deep. I literally went into medicine, went into pathology, I did autopsies. My job was to diagnose cancer. Like every book I had was on death. Like I just wanted to know, what is this thing? What is this thing that happens? And I think it's about the knowing thing. And I know I can't know. Like I know that I will never know what it is until it's here. But I think that's what the search is about.
Do you feel, and tell me if I'm wrong, but from the things that you've said so far, it just seems to be coming up, that it feels like even that urge to know is coming from a deep fear of death. Because if there's a sense of certainty about something, it's like if we can know it in some form, then maybe it's a little bit less scary. It's like the monsters
Yes.
in the movies that you see are never as scary as the ones that are only hinted at.
Yeah. It's like looking under the bed
Yeah.
and getting that sense of, oh, okay, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's going to be okay. That's what I've been looking for.
Yeah. And do you feel like you need to have that then before something happens so that you're at peace with the dying process when it eventually comes?
It seems like that's the belief, yeah, that if I know what I'm about to enter as the breath goes out, but for the last time, that I'll have that peace.
And the issue is that, as you said, we can never know anything. And any part of the process of awakening is really, every step of it is a dropping of beliefs or knowing until you just experience what's there without actually knowing anything at all. And it's that's why the 10th fetter is recognizing that we never can know anything, and it's becoming okay and finding equanimity in the fact that we cannot know anything. But it sounds, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like the issue is not as much that you feel like no, it's not as much the actual need to know as it is the feeling that there is still a self who is going to go through the process of dying and is going to die and is concerned about the process of death, and then also what comes after that, if something comes after. Because if there's really nothing after, then all you have to look forward to is peace. There's nothing there to be fearful of or anything. It's the unknown aspect of it that sounds like it's what's causing the fear. And if there's really more than an intellectual understanding that there's no self, but an actual felt experience of it, then there's no fear of death because there's nobody to die. There's nobody to go through it. And you recognize also that you are dying and being reborn moment by moment, because the experience of a self or the experience of Julie going through the world is constantly changing. There's no consistency behind that. And so what you take to be a steady, constant Julie who has been, from birth until death, that is just it's a mental overlay that's weaving together all of these disparate moments and memories and thoughts and fantasies, and all of that gets in. And so that's why when we're doing this, we really are focusing on what it is to feel like a self, and to recognize that that is not a thing that is persistent or consistent through time, and that there is nothing there that is going to experience death. And it's also still having the humility of recognizing that, again, we don't know anything, and we have no idea what does or does not happen after death. It's not having great, there are traditions that talk about having CDs and being able to develop all these supernatural powers, but that's not what we're talking about. This is much more simple than that, and it's much more livable and freeing, in that it comes down to the comfort of not knowing. So where in your experience currently does it still feel the most like you are Julie? We have identification levels with the CF and different things like that, but how do you feel like you are a Julie right now?
Well, that's a really good question. when I think of things that the Julie still has to go through, not has to, like things I write down so I remember to do them. Like there's still somehow a belief in there that there's a Julie that is going to do stuff, like see through a fetter. Even though I know, like, I really do know that that doesn't ever occur. I mean, I can just tell the way things are kind of falling into place with perfect timing and disparate things that have nothing to do with each other, showing me the same exact thing every day. Like, I know I'm not doing that. But there's also this fear, feels like it is a cling on onto the idea of a Julie. It's fear, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So is it okay for that fear to be there? And does that fear, let me actually backtrack and ask, so does that fear have a specific function that you're aware of right now? Is there a something specific that it's doing?
Well, all my life, I feel like it's that fear that's prodded me all the time, like a drill sergeant, to take care of this body, to exercise this body like a fanatic so that it could stay alive. So the fear has kept me alive at some level.
Yeah. And so you can be thankful for the fear that it was there as sort of your guardian. It was there as a beneficial a beneficial aspect to your life to keep you, healthy. However, now as an adult, looking back on these things, seeing where you are now, is it possible to have done those things without having the motivating factor of fear behind it?
Yeah, because now I exercise for fun.
Yeah.
Like it could have been that way the whole time, but in my mind, I think that, but I don't know that it could have been. It's that way now.
Right. It was that way then, and it's perfectly okay that it was that way then. But you recognize now that the fear could also be a superfluous thing that really isn't necessary to make those things happen. It feels sometimes like it is necessary, but now you find you can just exercise for fun, and you're much better off that way. So the fear that you're currently experiencing, obviously that's not the motivation now to exercise, but there is a fear that is present and lingering in your life, right?
Yeah.
And what is that about then? I mean, we think there's probably the fear of death angle, but is there something else?
I don't think so. I think it's about fear. Well, there may be some fear of the complete dropping in of the fact that I can't know anything.
I get that.
So if the fear of death, or the fear that was motivating the exercise and healthy behaviors, looking back seems rather superfluous and like it really wasn't doing anything. What do you think that fear is actually doing now? Is that a necessary factor in your life?
No, it's like the party guest that won't leave.
So, and that's okay. It can be there as long as it wants. Notice your resistance to it being there. Do you feel when you feel that sense of fear, the way you talk about it, it sounds like you're probably not all that thrilled to have it.
Right.
So can we go into, can you bring up something that, if you're comfortable with this, bringing up something that brings up a taste of that fear? And can you tell me exactly what you're experiencing right now with it? Where is it felt?
Right here. Like choking.
Good. Can you stay with that for a minute? And notice there's a sensation of, tightness, constriction, something going on in the throat. But do you notice any layers of feelings, of thoughts about it? The label of it as fear, the label of what it's pointing it to? What comes up when you're sitting with that?
Ooh, images of
Sorry.
it's okay. Images of hectic hospital patients, just bones in gowns who can't breathe, kind of blue.
So now recognize that the sensation that you're feeling in the chest is just a sensation. Where you feel it in the throat, it's just a sensation, right? You can feel it as constriction. You can feel the raw sensation of that. And then notice those thoughts that are popping up in conjunction with it. And recognize that those are memories, those are images, those are thoughts that you are taking a memory of something else, and then you're projecting yourself into that position in the future. There's this idea that that could be me, there, but for the grace of God go I, as they say. And so that contraction is happening, and these ideas about your possible trajectory in life leading to suffering and illness and eventual death, those are two different things. Can you let those thoughts and those images and those projections go? Because none of those are real. None of those are happening right now. If you look around the room, you don't see any of those things. You're just here in your body with a little ball of tension in your throat and in your chest. So can we start to separate what's really happening right now, just being with sensation, from all of the mental stuff that is taking the worst case scenarios that might happen? It's all the things that you've seen. Your mind is saying, I don't want any of that. And this could be my future. And you're getting tied up in these absolute fantasies that, as Pernille said, you could be hit by a bus before any of that could happen. So instead of creating the sense of fear and torturing ourselves years and years and decades unnecessarily, can you just be with that sensation when it's there? And we're not driving the sensation away. We're just looking at it with curiosity and just noticing that it's there. And notice that if you don't keep feeding it with thoughts about the future and thoughts about the past and what might happen, the sensation is generally pretty short-lived. It comes and it goes. And that's all it is.
Yep. Right when you said it goes, it was gone.
Yeah.
It's back now, but
It's okay.
transient.
I mean, that's okay. It's an exploration that you can do to start to distinguish what's real and what's actually happening in your experience with what's just a fantasy overlay that's being taken to be in some way real. Because even if you know that what you're sensing is just a project, or what you're experiencing is just a projection of a possible future, if it's not really clearly seen as being just that, it still has the power to keep looping you into these feelings of rumination about what might happen, and then feelings of, make it basically becomes a feedback loop to make that constriction just grow and grow and grow. And then we feel like it's just happening all the time, or it's an ever-present thing, but it's because we keep feeding back into it over and over again. So just keep coming back out of it whenever you can, and recognize.
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
Oh,
And that was really good. And I'm also thinking about when you're there, where you just went with Todd, where you have the sensation in your throat, and you have the thought. The thought is minimizing the experience of the sensation in the body, because you're limiting to fear. That is all we can feel as long as we have a thought attached to the sensation. When you release the thought and just stay with the sensation is allowed to be as it is, and you are allowing yourself to experience it as it is, which means that it's no longer just one thing. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of things. It can be cry, sadness that needs to come out. It can be laughter that needs to come out. It can be so many different things. But as long as we have the overlay and the label that says this is fear, we're minimizing the experience and making ourselves way, 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 way smaller than the experience actually is.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, thank you. Actually, it feels, I felt like this, I don't know, when you said that and I felt it more clearly, it suddenly felt really good.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
breathe or something, like it could breathe.
Yes, exactly. And as long as you have the label going, this is fear, then you're not allowed to enjoy it. You're not allowed to laugh. You're not allowed to anything, because this is fear. It's like, going to a funeral. There's certain rules at a funeral. And it's the same thing when we have a label on. This is how it is. There's certain rules of how we react to a fear. But reality is that whatever sensation we feel in the body, it's not that singular. Nothing is that simple. It's not only fear. It's lots of things. You have had a full life that has been crammed into this sensation you have here. So you need to release the label and allow that full life to be expressed through that sensation here. And whatever I want to do in the body, just allow it to do that in the body.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I was just thinking before
Yeah.
we take the next one.
Yeah.
You said something that I thought was really interesting and I would like to circle back to.
Yeah.
It's the part about us dying all the time. That we have this idea that we are conscious and we're born, and then we are conscious and we maybe have the consciousness a little bit on hold while we sleep, but then we wake up in the morning and we're right back to the ones that we are, and then we die. Yes. And that's it. It's like one long cycle, where reality is that that's not how it is at all. We're dying all the time. We're dying all the time. Could you say something about that? You can have a sip. I'm just unpinning, so remove pin and remove pin here. How do we do that? We'll do that there. Look at me chuckling.
Good job.
Yeah,
Good job.
I know.
Yeah. So if you really become aware of your experience throughout the day, you'll notice how many times you are doing something and you are, seem to be actively engaged. And then another moment later, you'll kind of wake up and recognize that you're not exactly sure what you were just doing, or you're not exactly sure, like your experience of what we think of as the past, even moments ago, seems very dissociated. And there are times that it just feels like you have no idea what has been happening. And if we had, this perfect consciousness that was continuous.
Continuous.
It's not quite the word that I was looking for, but yeah, if there was this continuity of it that really consisted all the way through, we would have this much better recollection of what has happened in our life. But when we look back, we only have little memories of little snippets of bits and pieces here and there. There is a constant, everything in our experience is constantly arising. Oh, we have another person. We have these experiences that are constantly arising and then constantly passing away. So we tend to get into issues where people feel like, okay, sensations arise, sensations pass. You can see this arising and cessation constantly throughout our experience, but then we have this idea that there's this thing called awareness, or there's this thing called, the big self or whatever, that, well, that's there all the time. But when you really come down to it, and you really get close onto your experiences, you start to recognize that even those are still just sort of assumptions and thoughts that are put upon to create this kind of narrative arc about our experience. Or if it's not a narrative arc, it has to do with the sort of sensations, these felt sensations in the body, or this general idea about continuity that's not really being felt. And so we're, it's
Yeah, but it's that part that we started out with that meditation.
Yeah.
And when you were doing that, you were very, very conscious of where you were.
Yeah.
You were very conscious of where you were. And if I had asked you, are you here? You would have had that, yes, I'm here, I'm aware. So what Todd is pointing at is, where were you 5 minutes ago? Because a lot of you were other places in your mind. You were thinking about other stuff. But if you were out there in your mind thinking, were you conscious or were you not conscious? And it's that illusion of consciousness that we call a self, the separate self. So, and that is one of the things that we're looking through when we're pointing with the fetters, that is just an illusion.
Yeah.
And then there's the practical thing that you are dying all the time. You are dying. I mean, you're getting new cells all the time, a new stomach every third day. You know, after 7 years, there's nothing left of you at all. So we are dying all the time. But because we have this sensation or that experience, no, it's not called that either. We have this illusion of a continuity.
See, it's a tough word, right?
It is. We have that sensation of a continuity or illusion of a continuity that is not, it's actually not there. It's actually not there. Yeah, I just wanted to talk. Okay, Sunny. Let's see, we can pin Sunny and pin us.
I found the unmute button.
Nice. All right.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
I've been thinking that maybe it is just like you talked to Julie about, saying that there is some benefits of staying in something. And I think that maybe there are some benefits of wanting to stay and say, I cannot force to see through the self. That I don't know if it's is it just too easy to say, I need to look at a lot of traumas before I can see through self. I don't have that sensation of being awakening, and it's okay to not have that. It's okay to stay here. So then I wonder, is it then my ego that is saying, don't go anywhere? It's you can stay here. You don't have to do this. Not like I'm afraid of it, but is it sort of like just, I won't say lazy. The Danish word is that it's a sleeping pillow. Is it? Yeah. So that's where I am now, because I don't want to force anything, because I don't want to say that it's too bad I'm not awakened yet. I've been here for more than a year, blah, blah, blah. It's, I don't feel I have that urge, but then again, when I really look at it, maybe it's just easy. The easy way of not doing anything.
Yeah, I hear that you're pointing at some kind of an excuse, no, it's better for me just to look at the trauma a little bit longer, a little bit, because then I'm not, rocking the boat, and then I'm just, staying here. And that's like that comfortable doing absolutely nothing and nothing is happening.
But then again, I have never had the tools to look at trauma before.
I know.
So maybe, yeah.
I completely understand where you're coming from. The thing is that the ego loves drama. The ego loves drama, right? And the ego is only alive and kicking when we're looking at something in the future or ruminating about something in the past. When you're staying here and here and here, and you are aware of the trauma that is happening, and you are, like Julie just did, realizing that, oh, there's actually there's actually a delusion going on. I think that I'm really, really fearful. I'm actually not. I just have a sensation here. When you keep picking things apart like that, the ego is slowly being dismantled, and the ego will start to drum up stories. And one of the stories can be that it's not safe for me to release the whole. It's not safe for me to see through self. I might go insane. I might, not want to go to work. I might like totally sit on a bench for 2 years. I haven't got time to sit on a bench for 2 years. Much better that I don't look into all this, That is only the ego talking. It's only the ego talking. And it's only saying it because it loves drama. There's no other reason. It loves drama. In reality, when you're just sitting with this and this and this, no matter what it is, at some point, that sensation is going away. Just like Julie said, that when she forgot, to pay a lot of attention to it, it actually disappeared. And that's the thing. A sensation doesn't stay forever in the body. And when you are with trauma, when you have experienced, a rough childhood and lots of abuse, and you struggle finding love and trusting love, even from yourself, because you got no point of reference in your past at all, that is a completely new exploration. And finding out that it's been here all along, that's a huge, huge insight that needs, time, and you need to, stay with the experiences that you have, and need to keep talking about it, and need to, refer back to the experience that you have in your body.
But so that's not like staying with it for wanting to be in the victim position in that.
It can, but that was why, for example, with Julie, that I was asking about it, if she was aware of the benefits. If you're staying with it to harvest all the benefits, then there's something, to let go of. But then you are caught in the ego. The point you are at, or the sensation you are at, or the experience that you have in your direct experience right now is not harvesting anything, because it just is.
Mm. Yeah, because it doesn't feel like I can go anywhere else, because I don't think it will dissolve with that. I don't want it to dissolve, but yeah,
Could you be specific what you mean with it?
I went to a therapy session today that was like it's a mixture between a body SGS and what is it called when they push in the stomach, and it is in the middle of my stomach, and it is to the left side and on the back, and it hurts like nothing I have tried. I mean, it really, but there is a release, and it's not because of pain that I cry when he pushes, but it is a kind of release, and it is the first time there has been sort of like access to releasing them, to actually really be allowed just to reach that point. So it feels like there's something sitting there that is.
There is. Yeah. There is. The muscle you're talking about is a muscle called psoas that is sitting in the back, and that is where all trauma is collected there. That's also why we get like lower back pain, we get hip pain, when we start to work with all this, when we start to see through all the traumas, and we are present with the traumas. It's like we give the body the expression that it needs, and then we get lots and lots and lots of pain exactly there. And it is what you experience, that when he's pushing on the psoas and he's stretching the muscle, all of that is just released, and you cry and you have no idea why. It's just like the body is crying, and something is very, very vulnerable because he is touching it.
Yeah. So, yeah. But it's I just don't want to stay here in the convenience part of saying I don't want to look at that there is no self. So that's sort of like, and it's not because I feel that I'm in a hurry to do it, because I don't feel like I'm in a hurry. But then again, I think,
But
is
there's
that because it's convenient?
Yeah, but there's still a resistance to what is. If you don't want to look at it right now, then respect that boundary and don't look at it. Just stay with what is. Just stay with that sensation you have in the body. Just stay with whatever is present and aware right now, and then you work with your boundaries like that. Being forceful is never, ever the solution to anything. And what is bad with staying here? What is it you're afraid will happen if you don't look into it and you're not forceful and you're not addressing it? What are you?
But you mean the trauma or the not being able to see through self?
Whatever you're resisting, because I think those two are the same thing. It's just a different angle on the same issue.
Okay.
Is there any memories from your childhood about about being rushed and not being allowed to take your time to whatever needed to take its time? I know you, so I know the answer is yes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
a question,
But
yeah.
I can't really say that there was a lot of hiding from grandma, that she wasn't able to know what was happening at home, and we cannot tell grandma, etc.
Mm.
And things like that. But I don't really feel the rush, other than, wait, oh,
You're still here.
yeah, that's good. So, yeah, I don't, not really the rush. But it was just all this hiding and taking care, and not letting anybody else see what was going on at home.
So wouldn't it be a great idea to see what is going on at home right now? Just spending time with seeing what is actually going on at home before you rush on with the next insight.
Yeah, it is.
And it's also having that love and compassion that is, and that unconditional love and compassion that is in giving space to whatever is. It's just like the biggest gift we can give to another person is just to be quiet and listen. It's the biggest gift. It's not what we are saying that's important. It's just to be quiet and be there. And it might be the time right now for you to do that. Instead of wanting more and pushing and everything, then just stay with what is happening right now. I mean, when you have had a body therapy like body assist or rolfing or anything similar to that, you need to, make the body, adjust.
Is it
Could
my connection?
can everybody mute if you're not currently talking, please? I'm not sure where that's
No,
who's that's coming from.
try. Let's see if I can.
Thank you.
Never.
Whoever it was, got it.
Yeah, it needs time. I need not to, yeah. And I have been thinking, it's okay that I don't go and spend a lot of time to say that I have to see through the self, etc. And I think it's okay that it is just there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think I'm quite sure you're not the only one that is trying to rush a seeing through self. You're not the only one.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just that if it was too convenient.
And what's the problem
Yeah.
with being too convenient? You're judging something that's not you.
Yeah.
Judge.
That nothing happens if I'm too lazy. That is sort of my yeah. I need to make things happen. Otherwise there's not happening anything.
So there's a judgment about being lazy.
Yes. Yes.
You
Definitely.
you do know that Suni, she's so lazy, right?
Yes, I do.
Good, good. Could you have love and compassion about you being lazy,
Yes.
and take the next 2 weeks on or until I speak to you next, and be
Mm.
as lazy as possible and see what happens. What
Mm.
happens when you're lazy? Because we have
Yeah.
this idea that it's sofa and it's a bag of chips and it's Netflix, and that's how it's gonna go for years.
Mhm.
It's rarely
And
like,
just like, you know, we talked to Julie about that, she for years had that fear that was driving the exercise and all of that, and then recognized afterwards that, oh no, I can actually exercise just out of joy and because it's fun, and you don't actually need that. And it's the same sort of idea that you have that sense of you have to be controlling something, or if you're not doing it, you're just gonna, you know, be an unawakened, you know,
Mm.
slob on the couch for the rest of your life. And it's the
That missed my chance.
yeah, yeah,
the one
Yeah.
chance you were given.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
also just wanted to poke in and just say, also on a more practical inquiry level related to that, you know, recognizing that that idea of having a control and actually being able to control anything is itself something that is part and parcel with the self delusion. And so looking into the experience of what it even is to control something, or what it feels like to control, and if you really have, you done any of the exercises to actually like experience what it seems to be to actually control something or make decisions or choices?
Maybe, but I cannot remember them exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, like, just very briefly, I think one at Liberation Unleashed that, you know, everybody uses a lot. It's a really common one, but I think it's a fun, quick one to that gets kind of to the heart of it is, and everybody's feel free to, you know, join in with this. If you lift both hands out in front of you, palms up, and you're just going to watch your hands. Now, at some point, you're going to flip a hand. We don't know which hand it's going to be, and we don't know when it's going to be. We sit here initially having the idea that I'm going to choose which hand it is, and I'm going to choose when I flip it. But if you actually sit here and watch it and be very vigilant, like what is going on in your experience before the flipping actually happens, at some point, flip a hand. So just wait and watch. And at some point, one might do it. And notice what it felt like just beforehand, and what it felt like while you were flipping it, and what it felt like afterwards. Did you decide? Are you deciding which hand to pick? Are you deciding when to flip a hand? And are you deciding how fast or how slow that hand was going to flip? And if your hand hasn't flipped, notice how it feels to be making the decision to not flip a hand. Are you making a decision to not flip it the whole time that the hand is not being flipped? At some point, do you recognize any point where there is a clear decision that is being made? I'm going to flip this now. And then an actual movement of the hand muscles, the arm muscles, all of the muscles and tendons and ligaments that are involved with flipping the hand. Recognize that if I asked you how you go about flipping a hand, you can't even tell me how that works. If you don't have a very strong knowledge of, you know, human anatomy, you have no idea how that actually even happens. And even if you do have a strong knowledge of human anatomy, you still would not know how to actually describe to another person all of the steps involved with flipping a hand. And it's not an intellectual thing. We do this over and over again until you're sort of convinced on a deeper level that you are not making that decision when that hand flips, or which hand flips, or how it flips. And it's one more thing that helps to chip away at that illusion of control and the illusion of choice. And you can start to have that feeling of automation. It's like the body is doing its thing completely separate from any sort of will or sense of ego doership control that's making things happen. And so some people might do that once and have like a, ooh, you know, that was a really weird experience, and that might spark something. Other people might do it, you know, dozens of times before it really starts to sink in. And you can do that same sort of practice all throughout your day, whether you are washing dishes, just standing,
Driving,
walking, driving, no matter what you're doing, observe what's happening and recognize if there is a part of you that is making that choice, making a decision, or actually physically moving the body to do something. Where is the idea that that is actually possible happening? So what was your experience of that?
The experience was that I was more deciding not to flip the hand than to flip the hand. So it was like I could have, but I didn't have.
Were you? Did
No, it was more like it didn't flip now.
Okay, I would like to
Yeah.
to build on it.
Yeah,
If you take your hands out and you're sitting, and
Yeah.
it goes for all of you, hands out, sit and look at your hands, and then just sit and just look at your hands. Now, right now, you might have the assumption that these are your hands. This is my right hand, and you look at the right hand, and this is my left hand, and you look at the left hand. Because you're sitting and looking at it now, how do you actually know that this is your hand? You can't see the connection to anything. It's just two hands floating. You can't see the connection with the arm. You might see, you know, the wrist and the lower arm, but you can't see the upper arm. You can't see the shoulder. You can't see the torso. You can't even see your head. You can just see two floating hands in front of you. How do you know that is you? Is there any connection with the thought of a hand and then actually a hand? And now see if you can do the flipping, or don't flip. Who is actually deciding to flip or not flip? If these hands are not connected to anything, they're floating in midair. Just like your eyes are not connected to a head, you don't know that. You can't see your head. You're just seeing from your eyes. Seeing is happening, and there's floating eyes mid-space, and there's floating hands mid-space. How are these hands you?
I have the assumption that they.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
if you let go of that assumption, if you let go of the thought, is there an experience with these hands in front of you actually be yours and be you? Or is that just a thought?
That is a thought, but they work for me.
It's not what
They
I'm
do
asking.
things.
Yep. Now you're going into the future, into the past, and everywhere. But now
Yeah.
I'm asking right now, in your experience, when you're sitting and looking at your hands, and you release all thought about it, you're just sitting and observing two palms that are floating midair. They're not connected to anything. You need to have a thought that say, but this is my hand.
Yeah.
These are my hands. They're serving me well. All that is stories. That's only in your mind.
Mm.
Right now, it's just two floating palms.
Yeah. that is what they are right now, but I cannot separate it from past and future. That is where I get stuck.
You can't feel what is right in front of you at the moment without jumping
To a
back
thought.
and forth to thoughts about something else.
But it feels cold around them. They're sort of tingling.
Is it them that are tingling? Notice, if you really pay attention to that and feel the tingling, notice if that sensation of tingling even perfectly lines up with where your hands appear to be.
It feels to be on top of them.
Okay. Now try, keep your hands where they are, and now close your eyes. In a moment, you don't even have hands anymore. That sensation that you have in your hands is going to evaporate in a second.
Can you feel any boundaries of your hands? Anything that feels like it has the shape that you quote unquote know them to have?
But it feels bigger. It feels like they are more on top, but they also feels to be below now.
Good.
But it's sort of like a space around them. It's not really to say it end.
Excellent.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Perfect. And if you don't move your fingers, can you feel 10 fingers if you don't move them?
No.
So right now you don't even have fingers. In your direct experience right now, you don't even have fingers.
In fact, the sensation, if you still feel sensation in what we were calling your hands, is that connected to anything? Is that in any way connected to you? Is it floating somewhere out in space?
It is floating around because it's not touching anything, so I cannot feel the boundaries of them.
Exactly.
Excellent. So is it yours?
I call them mine.
Yeah.
I call my car mine too, but it's not really part of me.
Yeah.
So right now, in your direct experience, you don't even have hands.
No. I don't.
Do you have feet? If you don't move your feet?
No, I can't feel my one foot anyway.
No.
Because it doesn't touch anything.
So it's just hanging mid, and you haven't even got a reference point for it. So right now, you don't have hands and you're missing a foot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I need to evaluate the direct experience.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing when you eventually go back to the hand flipping exercise or the just looking at your experience driving a car or doing dishes or whatever else you're doing in life. Notice when those thoughts are pulling you away from direct experience, and just notice what the actual what is actually happening in direct experience at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, go on,
And the
you.
one thing that I had wanted to come back on, I hate to have you come back to a body though, but you had mentioned when we were doing the palm flipping about making the decision to not flip the hand. And so what I would like you to do is to just bring your hands back out in front again. And if it feels like you are making a decision to not flip your hands, I want you to tell me again in direct experience now, not using anything from the past or the future. In your direct experience, how are you going about making the choice to not flip a hand? Are you physically resisting something? Are you controlling your hands? What is your experience of making a decision to not do this thing?
But it was just like that it could have flipped, but it didn't flip.
That happens. But your assumption was then, I'm deciding not to do it.
Yeah. I thought of that also, that it didn't flip now.
Exactly. And there's a huge difference. There's a
Yeah.
huge difference. And that it's why we have that deceptive ego sitting in the frontal lobe. I am deciding not to move my hands. Look at me, look at me. But in reality, in your direct experience, the hand is just not moving. But it's like, it's coming into the scene and taking all the glory for something that it didn't even have anything to do with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like every moment that you're not coughing, are you deciding not to cough? Right? It's like taking, oh yeah, well, I didn't cough. I'm choosing not to cough. I'm choosing not to cough. It's silly if we do that, but we take other elements of our experience and decide that that is under my conscious control, and I am taking credit and ownership of that. And it's just as much automatic and selfless as coughing, blinking, or any of the other involuntary actions that we have. Breathing,
Heartbeat, digestion, and somatic functions.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, it's
Okay.
one up there.
There, yeah. Okay, I'm learning.
Yeah. You're
All right.
rocking this. This
Iva.
Is it Eva or Iva?
Oh,
you're muted. You're muted.
Hold on.
It's okay now?
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay, it's Eva.
Eva. Hi, Eva. Good to meet you.
Hi. Yeah, I'm totally new. I found out about you on YouTube. I watched your videos, Pernille, and I like them.
Thank you.
And then I decided I will just come to see how it will be for me here. I was working with Angela a lot. So I had some, but right now I'm dealing with my conditioning, which is really hard because I went through a lot of narcissistic abuse, like since childhood, and goes on and on and on and on. So I wanted to ask about like how to really express anger and set good boundaries.
Yeah.
If you have any tips about it, because I put it on myself. Then this rage, I put it on myself, and I smoke, and I don't know. I just realized I did do it to myself.
Yeah.
Like I would right after the conversation when the rage should be expressed and felt or whatever. After I go and because
I completely hear you. The problem that we have in our lives when we have experienced narcissistic abuse as children, it is that we have never ever learned how to express anger.
Yeah.
Also if we have had like bullies as parents, we have never ever learned how to express it. We have only learned that either there's calm or there's explosion. We have never learned how to express it. So that is where the healing lies for you. It's actually to start to be curious about the anger. How is anger experienced by you? And Todd has made an amazing inquiry called about anger. If you go to his channel, Unfettered Mindfulness, there's an amazing exploration into anger.
I will go.
Listen to it over and over before you fall asleep, as the first thing when you wake up. Sit and do meditations when you drive in your car, because it's really looking into the different layers of anger. Because what you have been taught is that either there's calm or we are killing someone. It's only, but there's actually lots of layers in it, and there's so much for you to learn. And what I would encourage you is to start to make notes, get a notebook, and write down every single experience you have with anger. So it's not only the thoughts, but it's also the physical experience. What is, just like Julie just did. She thought that what she had here, it was fear. When the label about fear was removed, she felt that, oh my goodness, it's actually lots of other things as well. So you might have physical experiences like tension in your jaw, and not in your stomach, and then you
Mhm.
start to smoke right away. So the tension in the jaw and the knot in the stomach, you don't want to feel that contraction you don't want. So you start to smoke
Okay.
self-harm. Instead of just holding off just a little bit, you can smoke as much as you want, but just a little bit with a cigarette, and be curious to the direct experience, like we've done all this entire session. Be curious to what is actually happening in my jaw right now. What is actually happening in the knot in my stomach? What is it I'm experiencing? Not when I'm thinking about it, but what am I
Mhm.
actually experiencing right now? And then you will see that it will start to take a shape that has nothing to do with anger. There are other layers underneath and underneath and underneath. So I would love for you
Okay.
to work with the anger inquiry that Todd has, and then come back next time. I want to hear how it's going.
Okay, thank you so much. Really, I appreciate it.
Okay, amazing.
Really, thanks so much for your presence and everything.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye bye.
And I saw somebody asked the name of the inquiry. I forget what I called it. It's either an inquiry into anger or an exploration
I
of
think
anger.
it's exploration of anger.
But you'll know if it's on my channel. It's one of the more recent videos. It's a red thumbnail with 2 little white circles is the thumbnail. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry, I can't remember the actual title of it.
No, it's really good.
Thank you.
I can actually make a post on my channel. Eva, are you subscribed to my channel?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna make a post after the meeting where I post it, and then you will get a notification so you have it.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
I will watch it as soon as possible and then just work on this because I want my boundaries back, and anger and everything. So
Yeah.
it's been a rough life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you're here in your life now.
Yeah, and I just moved completely different city, like from everybody else, so I can start a new life. And
Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful.
yeah.
Beautiful. Well done. Well done.
Okay. Thank you.
Good
Okay.
meeting you.
Bye bye.
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 Okay, then it is Shaheen. Let me get you here, dude.
Nicely done.
Hello, my friend.
Hello.
Hello. So thank you very much, Todd, Pernille. I do listen to a lot of your videos, and I'm sorry I binge watch them. It's my version of Netflix. So and then a friend of mine said, you can't get enlightened by watching videos.
It's really good for planting a seed, and it's definitely great for that, but you really do have to do the actual inquiry and the actual work to make something happen. But
and I'm terrible at it, so what Angelo DeLulo once said really made me feel guilty, because he said it should be actually 5% of the time watching videos and 95% of the time practicing. I do it the other way around.
But I really do think, though, having an intellectual understanding can be a really good precursor to having the felt experiential understanding. And so if you know what you're what you're looking for, what the steps are, how to do it, it's just then a matter of whenever it feels comfortable actually practicing it.
And I also want to say there is something soothing in the part about watching a video, and so what is going to happen in the video, so there's no surprises, and then you can rewatch it, and then you know what's going to happen, and you can actually breathe with it, and you can close your eyes with it, or you can do dishes with it, or you can have it in the car, but what's going to happen, which allows that if you have a theme about fear, that underlying fear that you have can relax a bit, where you just go with what I'm talking about in the video, what Angelo is talking about in the video, what Todd is doing in his inquiries. He has amazing inquiries on his channel. So it gives you that calm that some of us need for the nervous system, to know that, okay, there's nothing scary happening. There's no jump scare anywhere. It's just, smooth, I can go with that. So that there is something to be said about rewatching things over and over.
Yeah, thank you. So I had a very good unknotting experience with Vince.
Yeah.
So he did some very, like, I don't know, fundamental unknotting, because I use psychedelics to help me with my inquiry, because I have too much of a buzzy mind to actually sit down and do it. So that always helps. I'm in the Netherlands, so that helps too.
Yeah.
So what I'm currently feeling is that the constriction and the contraction and the tenseness that I used to do all of this with, somehow Vince has completely unknotted, and it's like physically I'm feeling relaxed.
Mm.
I'm like physically better. The way I'm sitting, my posture and all has become like, like I'm
Wonderful.
okay with myself.
Yeah, wonderful.
Beautiful.
But again, then immediately I have these things, thoughts like very much similar to Sumi. It's like, ooh, I'm going into Netflix mode.
Mm.
I'm going to now just vegetate. I'm going to become a couch potato. So I will rewatch this video for the advice you gave, Sumi. So I want to now talk about another part of something that blocks me. So one of the things I've noticed is that whenever I come to the edge of it, I kind of draw back.
Yeah.
I kind of get a glimpse for a second or two.
Yeah.
I draw back.
Yeah.
I have like 4-hour honeymoon periods, and then I draw back.
Yeah.
So, and I have narrowed it down. There are many, but today I want to talk about one, which is, if I see things as they are, and I'll be totally okay, and I'll live spontaneously, and then I'll continue being the bad person I am.
Mm.
I won't get better.
Mm.
So it's like, where will my drive to become a better person, to become a bodhisattva come?
Mm.
So, yeah, like, should I continue suffering so that I can become a bodhisattva? Should I become a bodhisattva first and then wake up? I don't know.
You are already a bodhisattva. You just don't know.
Can I ask, where do you get, this is getting, it's tricky because we're getting into the realm of beliefs as well. And so,
And they are also blockers.
Yeah,
Beliefs are also, I notice, are blockers.
yeah, as you know, I mean, we both have strong Buddhist backgrounds, but there is a point where, the Buddha said Buddhism is a raft, or the Dharma is a raft. I mean, there's no such thing as Buddhism really at the time. So the Dharma was a raft, and once you cross the other stream, you let it go. And so there is something to be said for using the teachings as a tool, but not getting too hung up on the concepts and the belief element, because that itself can be a big hindrance to moving through it. But the first thing that jumps out is that you said that you're a bad person now, and you're looking to become a better person by doing this. So are you comfortable just kind of giving us a little insight into what it is that you consider to be so bad and in need of change and improvement?
Yeah. So I have been working for the past 10 years with this. So the biggest I find is, like, I have a problem with arrogance and vanity, pride. So I'm prone to arrogance and vanity. And I worked on it, and it has really softened and loosened up. And, it's almost now translucent, where it was opaque once. So there's that. There's then, the finer things of, do I really rejoice in somebody's good fortune? Because I have thoughts of envy. Then I have thoughts of, jealousy. I have lots of attachments. So all of these things, and I'm like, if I'm happy, or if I'm like, satisfied, then maybe I won't do anything to improve. And
Yeah.
clean up.
I have a feeling you're gonna have a lot. Can I just say one thing quick? I'm sorry. So I know there's so much coming out. Can I just say one quick thing first?
Yeah,
Okay.
go on.
So I feel like you and a lot of other people tend to put the cart before the horse. There's the idea that I have to improve all of these moral things in order to evolve on the spiritual path. And so
Yeah.
if you're, if you don't become celibate, if you don't give up, cheesecake, if you don't, all of these things, you'll never become an enlightened bodhisattva or a Buddha. But in fact, it's as you see through these things, as you see through self, as you see through cravings and aversion, and the fact that they don't even exist, that they're just illusions, all of these things just fall away on their own. It's not that you have to cultivate this sense of morality and forcing yourself to be a good person in order to become enlightened. It's the other way around. Seeing through the illusions allows those impurities or such things to also just lighten up, because all of those things that you're talking about are very self-driven, self-reflective judgments, or that it's all about my vanity, my arrogance, my everything points back to a me. If there's no me there anymore, who is going to be arrogant? What is the point of arrogance? What is the point of vanity if there's no self? Did that just hit something? Breathe.
Yeah. Yes. Something like energetic.
And that is what I wanted to point at, that everything in life always has two sides, like the yin yang. There's always two sides of something. We're never only arrogant, we're also the opposite. And very, very often we pretend to be arrogant, so we are not livingly aware of the profound feeling of low self-worth, or I have no value at all. So I have a foundational belief that I am not okay the way that I am. So now I'm putting so much focus on my vanity, so I can prove to myself and everyone else that I really, really have a lot of worth. When what happens that Todd just talked about, that all that will fall away, the self will fall away. But if it falls away before you have seen through all that foundational feeling of shame that you have, if that falls away before you have seen through it, then you will never, that part of you will never ever be seen. And that's why it can't fall away until you have acknowledged it and accepted it and understood it. You're not vain, you're full of shame. You're not arrogant, you feel shameful. So we do different things to divert. And the way we divert is usually the opposite, because the starting point is about shame. There's a foundational feeling of shame that I don't want to feel. So in order not to feel that, I'm going to hide that I'm shameful, which means you still have the starting point. But your entire expression is in arrogance, and it's in, vanity. That's only a diversion. It's only a diversion. And there's some part of you that needs to love that shame, that needs to look into that shame and hold that shame, caress it and love it and be with it, and it's okay, and have memories about it, and allow yourself to be the loving mother and the protective father that wasn't there when the shame arose first time. And then you allow it to be there. And when it's no longer important for you, it will vanish, just like Julie experienced. It will vanish. And then you will be where Todd is talking about, that it will just fall away. And there's no one to be arrogant. It's not even possible anymore. But you are arrogant and vain as long as you're trying to hide something. Did that make sense?
Yeah. Completely.
So what Todd talked about, when you can watch the recording afterwards, you can see that it's like you're being like, you take a
Yeah.
deep breath in and you fall backwards. That is the deeper trauma of you that will never ever be acknowledged if you hear what he's really saying. So that needs to be acknowledged first and loved, utterly loved.
And rather than judging yourself for still being too arrogant or being, having too many attachments or whatever the things are, just recognize that, as Pernille said, when you address these other things, they are going to fall away on their own. It's similarly, the idea of renunciation is often misunderstood. It's not that you forcefully renounce all of these things in the world, it's that they happen naturally with the cultivation of seeing through all of the illusions that we usually live our life through. As those things drop, all the other things start to drop along with it, and then that's what we call renunciation. But it's really a natural process that's spontaneous. It's not by force.
And as long as we have a self intact, when we are renouncing, we're doing it forcefully.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is not the renunciation that is talked about in the Dharma. The renunciation that is talked about in the Dharma is the renunciation that is happening all by itself, without any effort. It just happens. The moment you see through self, the renunciation happens all by itself, because it's not important anymore. The greed, anger, and delusion is not there anymore. There's no one to be greedy, or no one to be angry, or no one to be delusional. So those fall away all by themselves. You don't need to do anything. It happens all by it takes care of itself. So there's no doing in it. There's no effort included.
And that undercuts your fear that if you don't do this thing and improve this, that you're never going to improve as a person. It's because it's not about that. These things all those things, as Pernille just said, fall away on their own. So it's not a process of forced, willful self-development that you as a person are going to improve, because there's so much self that's involved in that concept of being a bad person now who's going to become a better person in the future. That's pure selfing. That's purely based on the idea that there is a consistent narrative self here who is going to continue into the future, who is going to gradually purify and become better and better until I'm a golden sparkling Buddha who everybody is going to appreciate. And that's just self. It's just selfing. It's just pure illusion that's not happening in this moment. And that's as we've said, seeing things from the opposite side. It's just a natural falling away that happens, as opposed to a forceful chipping away.
Oh, that's a relief.
Yeah.
And I think, one of the first things that I feel like I'm coming back online.
Yeah.
I think what hit me was the arrogance, the vanity was so solid, like it was a thing. And when you were speaking, I realized, where is it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I couldn't see it.
Exactly.
It was smoke and mirrors.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a thought.
It's just a thought.
It's a pattern of behaviors that you're used to seeing and labeling. Oh, that's arrogance. Oh, there's sensation in the body. There's some words that come out. Oh, that's arrogance. And then it's just a label. And it's never the same twice. And yet we conveniently, just like we label every tree that we see a tree, no two trees are the same. No two things that we call arrogance are the same. It's all just a constant flow of changing experience. But if there are enough little similarities, the brain goes, oh, I've seen that before. That's arrogance. And then the other layer of it goes, oh, I'm a terrible person for feeling that, for experiencing that, for being that. And so it's just these layers of conceptualization to make things easier to grasp and categorize, and then the self that comes in on top of it and takes ownership of it and claims it and says, oh, that's me. And then the judgmental self that comes in on top of that and says, oh, and I'm terrible for having that, being like that, and for that happening. It's just layer of thought upon layer of thought upon layer of thought, and as you said, it's all just smoke and mirrors. None of it's there.
Okay, I mean, it's seeming so silly now. What a waste! Oh my God, 50 on fucking years. Wow, this is like a magic trick that was like,
You saw through
Yeah.
the illusion.
even buy the ticket for it.
Exactly. How good does that feel?
Oh, ho, 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 hoo.
Well done.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Well
you.
done.
Whoa. Thank you.
Mm.
Oh, thank you.
Love it so much.
So beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So good.
Hug.
Thank you.
Myself. Thank you. Really, thank you so much.
This has been so nice. This has been really wonderful.
Ooh. Okay, Todd and Pernille, thank you for that nuclear warfare.
Thank you.
Amazing, amazing.
Thank you for playing along and,
Yeah.
and really going with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate this.
Oh yeah, this is amazing. I'm so happy. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
You look so much lighter.
Yeah, I'm feeling it. I mean, like, the first thing I was like, something got lifted off my belly. And I'm like, oh, suddenly something opened and it's like there was a cage I was in and I'm no longer in it. And suddenly there's breeze and
Good. So good. It's so lovely. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been so good meeting you.
same here. And it's an honor that I could join today. And Todd, you were so prompt in replying to my email. Thank you for that.
He's amazing. He's amazing at replying. I just want to say to everyone who has written me, I'm so sorry. I'm so it's just that right, Todd.
Yeah,
right, Todd.
Right, me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Shaheen.
much.
It's so good, so good, so good.
Yeah, so good meeting you.
Yeah. I
Same
hope,
here. Absolutely.
hope
Yeah.
to see you at the next one. I'm really curious
Yes.
to see how things continue to unfold. And
Yeah. Right.
yeah.
I'll be back. I'll
Amazing.
be back.
Amazing.
So good.
Thank you so
Can't
much.
wait. Oh, thank you.
Then it is Yvonne. Let me just find you here. Hello, my friend.
Hello.
Hello. I
Hi.
just would like to say, I love seeing you both together.
Thank you.
It
Thank
makes
you.
me so happy.
Thank you. It makes us happy too. Honestly, this is so much fun, and so it's
Yeah.
just such a privilege getting to do this together.
Yeah.
Oh, I can just feel the love. It's lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're so fortunate.
It was so. Yeah.
I wanted to thank you, Pernille, because when I was talking on Double Barrel, and you were there, and Angelo, and I was talking about how the me just dropped out of me, just dropped, and how it was the most devastating and heartbreaking experience ever. I do want to say that what I did discover, although it felt completely empty, I suddenly did. I felt terrible, and then I suddenly began to realize that the love had not gone. Love was here, and then as soon as I felt that, I didn't mention this when I was there, when with Angela, and as soon as I felt the love, I thought, oh, it's all right. But what really also helped me with later on was having done the Fetters, listening to you. It really steadied me. So I realized it is something that is absolutely natural and is all being done before, and that what happened was absolutely okay, and it was a natural thing, and it helped a lot. I just wanted to say hello as well, but yeah, I don't know what else to say really. I just wanted to mention that.
That's really, really nice. I love that.
I mean, I've got lots I want to say, but I'm just glad to have joined you both.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you all. Thank you both.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It's so good having you here. Thank
I'm
you.
so happy you're here. I'm so happy you're here. It's really, really good to see you again.
Thank you.
I better unmute. I mean, mute. Not unmute.
All right, all right, we're still awesome.
Yeah,
we can unpin us.
Yeah, we go to gallery, and then how do we unpin? Remove pin. Here we go.
All right, nice. So, does anybody else have any questions or
More
anything
people
before
has
we wrap
arrived.
up?
That's really nice. That's really nice. Hi, Daryl. Hi, Kristen. Hi, Leela.
I've got one.
All right.
Okay, go on. Go on. So good to see you.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Let's get you pinned.
It's going to sound silly to me, at least, saying it out loud. I've been walking around with it for a couple of weeks, and now, like, well, this seems kind of dumb. But anyway, so when you finally find out what the underlying belief is, then what?
Is this for you?
Yeah, but there's nothing then what? When you have you found the underlying belief?
Oh yeah. It kind of appeared one day on its own. I'd watched the videos that you have about it and spent some time dwelling on it, and really couldn't get any traction. And then a series of events happened, and it brought it out into it became very clear suddenly. Like, oh, okay. And then once it was understood what it was, like, okay, so what do I do with this?
Well, there's two things. The first thing is that we can do it now and make an inquiry into it. But for everybody who's not here and who realizes what the underlying belief in is, then it's actually that. And so what? So what? I have this belief that the earth is flat. So what? I have this belief that there are 2 Thursdays in the week. So what? That it doesn't, whatever underlying belief you have, it doesn't change anything. It's just
right.
a belief. Until the point that you realize what the underlying belief is, you give it so much power. Like Julie was talking about with fear, so much power, spending an entire life avoiding it because fear is the worst. But when you realize that it's just an idea, it's just a belief about me being fearful or me being shameful, or me being, it's just a belief. So what? So what? It doesn't change anything. It's just a belief, just like believing that, yeah, the earth is flat or something. So
Well,
what? It doesn't change anything.
That's exactly right. And I think that's why the question was, because, watching the videos, I think my mind created, in other words, I'm not saying that it was anything that you said in those videos, but my mind created some sort of idea that somehow this was going to have some sort of significance, or perhaps it was some sort of linchpin, or I don't know what. It was never really a fully formed conscious thought. And then when it made its appearance, at first it was sort of, I don't know, for lack of a better way of describing it, kind of a relief. It was kind of good to be able to put a finger on it.
Exactly.
Especially considering it's been something I've been carrying around since I was probably really little.
Yeah.
And then, after some time with that, then it just kind of like, okay, so what?
So what?
What do I do with this? I understand. So
exactly. But that is exactly the point, and why it's so important to spend the second Fetter doing this. It's to looking into that whatever we believe is dangerous and is, horrible. I am a horrible person. I need to hide this. Nobody can see this. I need to adjust everything so nobody figures this out. All of that is just stories. It's just stories. When you just sit with it and you're just allowing it, it's really to the point where you're at now, where it's just like, and which means that when you realize that it's just a belief, it means nothing. It's like an opinion. It means absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's no motivation. There's no driving force. All of that is gone.
Huh.
I would say also, sorry.
Go on.
Is just also, now that you know it, now that you recognize it, let it be throughout your day. If you start to recognize if it's motivating you in other directions, so that can be the thing that is driving what we see as a lot of our choices, quote unquote, or the reasons why we do certain things. And so if you start to recognize that some of the things that you do, some of the patterns of behavior, some of the thoughts are actually coming out of that foundational belief, that lets you then see through all of those and lets that break down that illusion of doership, of control, and of ownership, because now you're recognizing that, oh, this is just something that's coming out of this, from this foundational belief, which itself you now know is just a meaningless opinion. So it kind of further undercuts everything else that you're doing in your life that this particular belief touches on.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and things are becoming clear now that I'm talking this through with the two of you. And I may have misunderstood how you meant it, Pernille, but you said something about no drive, no motivation, and I'm wondering because after the first Fetter fell, and then this underlying belief became clear. And I've talked with some of the people in POK about this, more experienced than myself. One thing that's, there may be other reasons for this, I can't help but think it's not coincidence that after these two events or occurrences, that there has been a noticeable diminution in motivation and the desire to do things, and I mean even things that previously. I mean, we're talking about things that are, have long been enjoyed, as well as things that just, stuff that has to be done. And that's been really puzzling. And I'm wondering if that's what you were, describing when you said that about drive and motivation.
Yeah. When we have an underlying, would you mind saying what it is? It's much easier if we
underlying belief?
Yeah.
Oh, no, not at all. How to do it succinctly. Well, okay, so I was the black sheep in my family. My family made me the problem. That I was responsible. Everything would be fine if it wasn't for Daryl. Yeah. So the underlying belief is the problem is me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that has translated into, from my family of birth to, the family I have now with my wife and our daughter.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to say that I'm really, really sorry about the experiences you have had with a family where you grew up to be the black sheep. Because what is to grow up in a family where you are the scapegoat is it's a mechanism in a family where the family dynamics only can be maintained if we have a diversion of all the toxicity that is happening in the family. We need a diversion so that is not apparent. And when a family chooses to have a scapegoat, it's only to maintain the toxicity. So there's somebody who's toxic, and there's somebody who's enabling the toxic person. And for that dynamic to be maintained, we need a scapegoat, someone we can talk about, someone who's the problem. And all the frustration that is happening in that toxic relationship is being put on the scapegoat. And in this case, that was you. And I just want to say, I'm really, really sorry that you had that experience. That is a fucking hard lot in life. It really, really is. The second thing I would like to say that I also want to compliment you to be in a place in your life now where you can see that, oh, wow, that was just a mechanism. I was just the one that was appointed this post in the family. Somebody had appointed the toxic parent. There was an enabling parent. There might have been other siblings that had other roles, and we all played our roles. I was given the role of the scapegoat, and it never had anything to do with me. I was just appointed that role.
Yeah.
So for you to really see that, and to know that believing in that, because then you have spent a full life where you believe that everything was your fault, and everything happened because of Daryl, because of you. If you had only been different, then the family wouldn't have been so toxic. If you hadn't been you, the family wouldn't have been so toxic. So for you to see through that, well, there might have been exactly the same mess that it was like all along. And when you see that, you can have that, okay, that had nothing to do with me. If I had done or not done, that wouldn't have changed anything, because I was selected for that post. It's like being born into royalty. You're not choosing to become the king, you just become the king, right? You didn't choose to become the scapegoat. It was just, something that you were appointed. Realizing that gives you so much freedom, but it also comes with a lot of incidents in your life where you suddenly can see that you have a pattern with a starting point of you being wrong, you doing something wrong, even before you have done it. You were going to do it wrong, and you have done it wrong, even before you've done it. And that starting point needs to be dissolved. It needs to be dissolved. That was wrong. It needs to be loved. Knowing that starting point has been instilled in you by someone who needed that to be there, but you don't need to maintain it. But you still need to love the little Daryl that believed in that thought that was true. And that, that needs a lot of space and compassion.
Okay.
So you being aware of that being the starting point and being the underlying belief, it's not as easy to love as it would be if it was just fear, anger, guilt, or shame.
Okay, well, I don't know how hard or easy it will be. We'll find out. I mean, so much work has been done in the last 20 years on this, and the person who drove it, which was my mother, I did a lot of work around forgiving her many years ago, and so there's no resentment. So my hunch is that that removes a lot of the impediment that would normally be there, that would create some of the difficulty.
Yeah, I'm completely on board with that. Also because we've been in communication a couple of times now. It's more the thing when you realize I'm gonna go and rake the leaves in the garden, and then you feel that there's a contraction in the body, and you go like, what is that about? Look into that. The starting point is probably about Daryl doing something wrong. And then you're just curious, what belief is it that I have about Daryl doing something wrong with raking the leaves? And that can be anything. But what I'm pointing is just to be aware of when that has been your entire life, that whatever you do is wrong. And if you don't do it, that's wrong too. So you need to do it the right way. And it's never told to you what the right way is, but it's funnily enough, never what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. To have that as a starting point, it's like, it's so deeply ingrained in us. You will start to laugh at it every time you see it, because you see that, oh my God, this is like, it's such a charade. You know, reality is something completely different.
Well, what you're saying, it's kind of ironic because I could hear my wife raising her voice at one of the dogs. She's trying to work. And as she raised her voice, even though it had absolutely nothing to do with me, there was this, and it's always been this way for as long as I can remember, this, what have I done?
Yeah. And you not being in the room and her raising the voice, or you being in the room and her raising the voice, it's made into something about you.
Yeah.
And that is exactly the starting point. That is a starting point that is like sewed into your DNA, and you just need to become aware of. And the question is obviously, can you ever do anything wrong? Is that even possible? If everything is useful, can you ever do anything wrong? Can you ever rake or not rake the leaves in the wrong way, or do it in the wrong way? If everything is useful, is that even possible?
I'll have to explore that one. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you want to add?
That was so good. I mean, honestly, you've given him so much to work with on there.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch this again. Well, all right. Well, that was great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Love
Daryl.
it. So good to see you.
Yeah, really good.
Can I say something about Daryl before you go on to the next person?
Of course. Hold on.
Hi,
Let us pin you, Leela. Hold on.
I see her.
There you go.
I so relate to the black sheep story and all of that. But I've been on like 2 calls in the last week where someone said, I've forgiven XYZ parent or person who hurt me, and therefore it's not an issue. Like there's and I'm recently noticing that underneath all the spiritual gratitude and forgiveness and seeing that they were innocent and they couldn't have done any different, and under all of that, there's still a whole shit ton of feeling about it. And it's evident in when your wife talks to the dog, and there you are sitting in the other room feeling like you've done something wrong. And so it really isn't about, you know, and Pernille tells me whenever I open my mouth to listen to hear myself talking to myself. So I'm now talking to myself.
We all respect that.
It isn't about your mother at all. It's about that toxic starting point that's still very much alive and well, like she said. And I, you know, I've graduated 35 years of psychotherapy and 20 years of Buddhist inquiry and God knows how many years of every other goddamn thing. And it's still fucking there. So I just wanted to say, don't fool yourself with the forgiveness. Look underneath there. Keep looking.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Leila. I love that.
Really good point. Really good.
Still fucking there.
And one other thing, you guys, I was going to talk to you about this later, Pernille, but this session and some of the other sessions you guys are doing, the inquiries in the groups.
Yes.
I would love, and I know you're busy, and both of you are busy, and you both have your own live creative things. am offering to go through these sessions and break out small clips of on point of some of the points you're making and some of the one-on-ones that you're doing, because it's really hard to watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
But as long as people agree, like Shaheen and Lisa, to have themselves posted, these are so valuable with a good title and a nice little AI intro.
Yeah.
Knock
You
yourself
know,
out. Knock yourself out.
I would so
just
love to do
grateful.
that because they're so valuable.
Thank you, Leila.
Right.
It'll be, you have my permission because, yeah, it is well worth.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I've done that for other spiritual teachers, and the short clips are so much more accessible, and they boost.
I would be the most grateful person on the planet if you would do that. I'm
Absolutely.
so grateful. That would be absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had a couple in my, the deep dive groups that I do where I've been wanting to take some and ask the people, can I use this clip? And weeks go by and I just it's like I never
Yeah,
get
I
to
know,
ask the
I
people or to go forward with it, and they're just there someplace. So
Well, my
really
selfish
appreciate that.
reason is whatever's alive on the leading edge of my teaching that I'm involved in. If I really get busy, like rewatching and rewatching and rewatching, it just sinks in a way that. So it's, for me, it's selfish, but
Thank you.
I would love for you to be selfish. I think you should delve more into the selfishness.
all right.
Thank you very much.
Thank
for
you
that
so much,
offer.
Leila. That's amazing.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing.
Thank you. Good seeing you, by the way.
Yeah, so good to see you. Gorgeous as ever. So Kristen.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
So
you.
good seeing you.
And I have to go. Thank you all very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
See you soon. Bye.
Then it's Ravina. And just here. Hello, my friend.
Hello.
And then it's Mike afterwards,
Yep.
and then we
we
call it a day.
Yeah, so in a way, following on from what Kristen's been describing, but I can just go straight into the sensation because I've lived a week. It's finished now. It finished on Sunday night, but I've been looking after coming from Belgium, where I'm full-time caring for my husband, like 24/7. I then said yes to coming to care for my little 2-year-old grandson in Connecticut, who I haven't seen for over a year, while my daughter and her partner go off for 6 days. So I've been living with this, just pure sensation, upper arms, sort of hard, just nothing like really clenched, but and a lot of little Post-its, but they were light, of what Kristen was talking about, was going through lots of stories, because I used to live here, but I haven't lived here for 7 years, so I no longer am here. And I had the memories of how I used to feel confident that I lived here, and now it's like I'm a stranger. And I got this little 2-year-old who's a little boy who's into everything, and I think I really have got to a scraping of the barrel of the fear, anger, guilt, shame thing, of an existential, this is uncomfortable, and just living at it. And then I got I was just sort of got a belief that came out, and it was so surprising because it's like I'm off the mark. And I was writing this down, I'm off the mark all the time, like I've got 2 left foot. And I thought, wait, that's the definition of sin. So it's like a flip of being off the mark as being a thinking that I'm a self. I mean, this was just like, not that I think that I have a self, there's a self here, but it was like, because the self didn't feel, there was this existential type of then letting go of control, which I have been letting go of, and I've been comfortable with for a little while, but it was so intense for this whole week and living in it, and then just sort of saying it's okay, it is just sensation, just live with it, and it's still sort of there, and it's just part, but it doesn't feel anymore like it needs to be controlled or have labels, or I'm doing things badly, or I don't belong here, or I don't know, or it just feels like it's just there, and it's just gone through all that thing of trying to be in control and doing things well all my life. And it's like having permission now just to sort of, I mean, not even having permission, it's just like, it's just happening. Actually, it's just happening. And there's sort of this weird sensations that happen at the same time. So I sort of wanted to share that because I felt like it was somehow a thread that carried on from what Kristen, because I could relate to, I could relate to some of the things that she was talking about. So not really a question, just like, this is where it's been at here.
Checking in.
Yeah,
I love that. Thank you. It's really nice with the checking in. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about but that's more you to talk about.
What's that?
It's about that. And I'm sorry if I'm sitting and stirring up in something that's not there. I'm just thinking of you being a carer 24/7 with your husband, and then you're going on holiday to be a carer 24/7 for a 2-year-old. That there's not much carer for Ravina in that.
No, there isn't. It seems to just be what's happening. I don't know. There has been a conscious thing of like, what if when this happens, comes to an end, or it's like, I couldn't not say yes. So I guess there is some sort of impetus behind of
it's not so much. It's not so much about that I'm pointing at, because you haven't done anything wrong. You're a lovely person, and for you to be a carer for your husband and to be there as a nan for your grandchild, it's just beautiful and wonderful. I'm not saying anything, and I'm not poking or pointing or blaming or anything. There's nothing about that. The only thing that I'm kind of like shedding a light on is what happens when we are a carer. Because something happens. There is a putting aside and a focus on someone else, and there are benefits and downsides with that, equally hand in hand. And I'm pointing at Todd. He was a carer for his mom for 20 years, more than 20 years.
Yeah, the last 5 of which were literally 24/7, absolutely no time off. So I know what it's like, and I know the amount of sort of repression of your own needs and all of that goes with it, and you're constantly putting your life on pause, on hold, and everything that you need comes secondary to the other person. And there's that constant alertness, because what we experience, is it okay?
Yeah, of course. But because what we experience now is sometimes that you act as if you still have that role where you're putting your aside, and I'm standing and going like, hang on, you don't I'm independent, you don't need to do that. But you're so out of practice with putting your needs and focusing on your needs, and just acknowledging that you have a preference, or you have a need, or you have a direction, or you have anything.
Yeah, it's only been 2 years since my mom passed, so I'm still not in the habit of actually, you know, being able to make choices, quote unquote, about things like that. Yeah, it's just, it's a different way of experiencing life, and so
Yeah.
And
I can,
it's the only reason I'm pointing to it.
but I also, you know, it's also good to be aware, as Pernille said, that there are also upsides to it. And so there were many things that were sort of protective things and really were beneficial during those, you know, years of sequestration in the house, taking care of somebody else, that, you know, kept me from doing a lot of things I didn't want to do, or, you know, helped, yeah, there was a certain safety in the predictability of even the unpredictable. You know, we had a very stressful life of never knowing when we were going to be in the hospital, and it was a constant thing. But there was a certain safety in that that is not there when you have just a completely, you know, open life where I could go out and go to a concert. I could go to something else. Like that in itself is a very strange, different way of life that feels even more unsafe or unpredictable. And so, you know, I don't know with you what things you find you gain from this experience, as well as what you're giving up in it.
For sure. There's well, the everything that you say of like, well, what, you know, what is it that I would like to do? Yes, just simply, you know, being able to go off for a half a day to go for a walk, you know, things like that. But I've just been using it for working with the fetters, working with impatience, working with frustration, working with you know, just sort of the child crying out, I want to do this, I want to do that, and working. This has been an incredible gift. And my husband is not an easy person, and he's doesn't like anything that I do, you know, but it's like, but everything now is like, there's nothing really personal, and it's just, I can laugh. Yes, I'm a really stupid person, but you were very stupid to marry a stupid person, you know. It's so that is the huge gift. That and then of course I'm caring for somebody who needs the care, and I wouldn't want that to be otherwise, because I wouldn't want him to be in some care home. So I do the best that I can. And for sure, I'm sure it will be very, yeah, that'll be interesting when to learn to not be on high alert, and just to sort of have that come off. And I now you mention it, it's true that being with a little one, and that probably was, that sensation going through had a lot to do with it. But I think I've always been as a little child, there's always been a high alertness in this system.
Yeah.
So it also fits with the whole profile, and all the life choices made fit in with exactly that. So it wasn't because there was anything that needed, you know, there was not a problem or anything. I just wanted, you know, to put a light on that, and saying that there are, you know, you're completely seen, and recognized and understood on a level that there might not be many other people in your life that understand on that level.
No, I mean, some people think that, I don't know what they think, that's what their business, but I just, I know that. And also, you know, having gone through that, it's like, I know this is going through there's still work to do with Fetter 4 and 5, but I am in a place where I want to be doing this, because I know I don't want to be doing something else, and that becomes like more joyous. Yes, I do want to be doing this, whereas that's evolved. So yeah, so it's,
thank you so much.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
So nice seeing you. Thank you.
Good to see you.
All right, Mike.
That is Mike.
Last one for the day.
So happy to see Mike.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Todd, Pernille, thank you very much for doing this. The sense of gratitude and sense of open-heartedness is just beyond words. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank
I just want to
you.
say thank you. I'm kind of like, it's been a very kind of like vibrational call of I feel like everyone, my heart is opening to them, and I, you know,
Yeah.
so I just want to say thank you, and yeah, just check in and thank everyone who contributed and their bravery for speaking and bringing things forward, which is always nice. And whoever needs to hear that they're loved, they are loved, for sure.
Thank you so much for pointing that out, because I have the same feeling when I'm sitting in a group, no matter if it's on the Q&A or here, that I really get so invested in the people that are talking, their vulnerability and the way that they're sharing, and the movement that we are taking together, and it's just so beautiful. So thank you for just bringing that up, because I just wanted to build on that and say that, yeah. And I have been thinking about you since the Q&A, so I'm really happy you're here as well.
I know you sent like a lightning bolt at me the last time, and since then it's just been like, ooh. So yeah, just yeah, bit by bit, day by day, step by step, and yeah, that's just all I wanted to say. So
Beautiful.
thank you very much.
I love it checking in. Thank you so much. I love it checking. Thank you. Thank you so much. What a great day.
This was so much fun. This is an
It's
amazing
been,
group.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
Absolutely
Thank
wonderful.
you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks next time. And remember also the Q&A on every other Friday. So when we have a week where there's inquiry, and the week after there's Q&A, so it's interchangeably. So there's something to do every week. And then Vince, he's there every Sunday. I can also really recommend his group.
Also, Vince has started his second and the fourth Saturday groups, which are EU-friendly time in the time slot. That's EU-friendly.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Awesome.
yes. He's amazing. We love Vince.
We do.
Yeah. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
everyone.
Really nice seeing all of you.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.